What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So we have another horror movie review to go through. As you can see, this film is called Daddy's Head. Now this film came out towards the end of last year onto Shudder. It's been on my list since then, getting through my list as we speak, and I just got done watching this film a couple days ago. I had to process it a bit. It's one of those films I feel you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, and I'm somewhat in between. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. I thought the concept was almost there, but it just didn't quite deliver for me on the concept, right? Again, I feel like it was almost there. It could have been a great film, but based on everything I've seen, and after I watched it, went back, did some reading up on it, and the reviews on this one were just barely above like average, and I would agree with that. And the ranking I've seen on this film is been at a 10. And typically when I do a rating, it's usually just out of 5, just to keep it as simple as possible. So the average I saw for this film that was out of 10 was around 5.5, 5.6 out of 10. And I would agree with that. I would give this a 2.5, maybe a 3, and that's being gracious, giving it the 3. Otherwise, this is a 2.5 for me. Didn't hit the mark, so we're gonna go through this one pretty quickly, just because, again, I just, for me, it didn't have all that substance for it. So as you can see, the film is called Daddy's Head. You can review this and watch it on Shudder currently. Like I said, it did come on Shudder, I believe, in September, October 2024. So it's been out there for a few months now. And like I said, I'm giving it a 2.5. A 3 is gracious. What this film, just a brief synopsis before I get into details. And FYI, there will be spoilers. I'm going to go into spoilers on this. So if you haven't seen this film, you want to see this film, you don't want to be spoiled, I would recommend pausing, go watch it, come back, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree with my assessment of the film, if you believe it's higher than 2.5, then yeah, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, we're going to get right into some of the details now. Again, spoilers, just alert. So this film is primarily based on and focused on two characters. I mean, there's other characters in the film. There are a lot more supporting characters than there are primary characters. So we have two, which is a young boy named Isaac, played by Rupert Turnbull, and Laura, played by Julia Brown. So she is the stepmother. Laura is the stepmother for Isaac, and the husband James. The film starts off. He's in the hospital. He's bandaged up completely, and within a few minutes, 5 minutes or so, we find out he passes away. She's the stepmom, no next of kin, so she has two choices. Either she continues to raise Isaac on her own, takes on that responsibility, or turns him over into foster care and she moves on with life, right? James was a successful architect. They have like this house pretty much out in the middle of the woods, out in the middle of nowhere, which I think just was meant to add to the ambiance of the horror aspect of kind of, you have nowhere to go, you have no one to call for help when something happens. So again, it starts off eerie. Dad dies, and the kid, Isaac, probably 10, 11 years old, maybe 12 tops, and he's having a hard time processing it. Obviously, his mother had previously passed away, which is why his dad is remarried, and now his dad has passed away. Now he is living with his stepmother, and the mother, Laura, lets it be known later on to another character, Robert, that she never wanted kids. She just wanted to be with James. That's why they got married. And Isaac was kind of just one of those, okay, I'll accept the fact that you have a child as long as we can be together. But now that he's dead, she never wanted this, but now she's kind of in that position to take him on and take care of him. So now that they're both processing the passing of James in their own way, Isaac becomes very, not secluded, but very closed off, not wanting to eat, not wanting to interact, and very quickly things start to happen as far as them both seeing things. There's this an event where there's this big fire that they supposedly see out in the woods. They call the fire department, but yet they come back later on and say, yeah, we couldn't find a fire. But there's clearly a lot of smoke. The firefighters could clearly see it because they were wearing all their masks, but for whatever reason that they're saying that they couldn't find any evidence of a fire, which that was I thought that story was a little bit interesting, the fact that they would say they couldn't find one even though they could recognize there was still smoke there, so that was a bit off. So as the story goes on, again, I'm going to keep this one pretty quick. Isaac and Laura at one point both saw like this figure, this thing in the shadows in the house. They didn't know what it was, and ended up taking off through the house, jumps out Isaac's bedroom window, and that was pretty much the end of it. It kind of just came out of nowhere for a moment. And as the story goes on, this creature keeps showing back up and keeps talking to Isaac, and it's almost like it has the ability to shapeshift. So in one aspect, it's showing it to his dad's face, his dad's head, so Isaac believes his dad is still alive. And then there's a few moments where it changes itself to look like the family dog, which is eventually killed by the monster, or we believe to be by the monster, because of how it's killed. You really don't know if it's the monster or if it was Isaac, and Isaac not knowing it, because they say that the dog was killed with one of the kitchen knives that's missing. So this creature now continues to show up, tells Isaac, come out in the woods, and Isaac and Laura are just not getting along. Eventually Laura reaches her breaking point. She doesn't believe what Isaac is saying, and she's now going stir crazy, not just with the fact that her husband has passed, but the fact that her stepson is claiming to see things that she's not seeing, and is just trying to really convince him that, hey, you're grieving. And that's what the other friend, the other actor that's kind of a supporting character, which is Robert. He comes over quite a bit. He's a family friend, was a friend of James, and he's trying to console Isaac as well. It's not working out. So the creature keeps showing up, and Isaac eventually has to meet with the psychologist. This doctor keeps coming to the house, trying to convince him, hey, we're not saying you're crazy, but this is just part of the grieving process. And Laura gets to the point where she's like, I can't take care of him anymore. Tells Robert, you take him, you raise him, I'm done, I'm out. So Robert attempts to have this conversation with Isaac as they go out into the woods, and Isaac takes him to this thing that was built out of like sticks and wood and everything, and you would believe that his dad built it because his dad's an architect, and that's what we're meant to believe. And nightfall happens, and this creature that's inside this, inside this, I don't want to call it a building, but inside this structure, eventually we don't see it, but it does come out and attacks Robert. Robert ends up in the hospital, and again, now we're back to where Laura has to be taking care of Isaac. And it gets to the point where it shows back up in the house, and this is where Isaac and Laura, I don't want to say bond, but kind of come to the conclusion that they need each other to protect each other, and the fact that they both are now seeing it together, so they know one's not, making it up. And a side note, earlier on in the film, Isaac has these drawings on his wall. Some of them look like the creature, so I'm not saying he conjured it up. It was just interesting to point out the fact that earlier on in the film, he has these charcoal or black and white drawings on his wall, and even in the film, he's asked to draw what he is seeing, and he literally draws exactly what the creature looks like with his dad's head. Again, I'm not saying he conjured it up, but it doesn't really explain why he would have all these drawings on his wall before we even see the creature, before any of this even happens, which makes you believe he has seen something like this before. That never gets explained. So finally, we're getting towards the end of the film, and they both are in Isaac's room with the missing kitchen knife, and this figure is getting ready to attack them. So Isaac is protecting Laura, and the next thing you know, Laura turns around with the taking the knife and just starts stabbing the creature over and over again until it eventually escapes. And now they're both there to again survive this. We now flash forward because at the beginning of the film we see an older version of Isaac, and it's like he's going back to this home that's now empty, doesn't live there anymore, and he's looking at the vent in his room that's dented in because that's where he had seen the creature once before when he was younger throughout the movie. So the movie is pretty much a flashback because at the end we now come to present time where Isaac is standing there still looking at the vent. He makes his way back out into the woods where the structure is. The structure is now completely destroyed. He decides to now go inside of it. It's the first time he's ever gone inside because he was too scared as a child to go inside. And he finds a picture of him and his dad that was missing from a frame earlier on in the film. And he finds what appears to be a human skeleton, but the skull doesn't look to be human, but the rest of it is. And then he goes... And then next, we're in the city or in a neighborhood. He's getting out of a car, comes into a home, opens the door, and says, "Mom." And next, the lady that sits up from the bed or wakes up is Laura, and the movie ends. That's it. I know and as bland as I just explained, this film is as bland as the film truly is. This film is, I expected a lot more. I mean, just when you see like the image I'm showing here on the screen that was used to promote the film, you would think there'd be a little bit more to it, but it tried to spin itself off as very suspenseful, very on the edge of your seat. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's around the corner. And it never felt like that. It never felt like, oh my gosh, I'm waiting for the next jump scare, or oh my gosh, I'm wanting and I'm interested to know what's going to happen next with this creature. It's a lot of what's happening. They don't really explain it too well, and you're left to guess on how we're getting to the points that we're getting to. I mean, ultimately, the relationship between Isaac and the stepmom work out because of what happens at the end, and she ends up raising him, and they're obviously still living together as he's a young adult because he walks in and now refers to her as mom instead of Laura. So obviously that was all resolved. This is spun off as a folk horror movie. So I don't really see that. We have the shape shifting happening in here as well. It just felt like a very muddy film. Now again, that's my opinion. You may have already seen it and you may say I don't share that opinion. I found it very different. Again, I'm giving this a 2.5 out of 5. A 3 I would have to be convinced to even give it an average 3. Otherwise it's below average for me. This is a one and done for me as well. This isn't a film I would ever go back to and watch again to see if I could change my mind about it. This was, I watched it. I didn't care for it. It's not that good. I'm done. Now, with that said, I would recommend, as I've always said, go check it out for yourself if you have Shudder. It's a very short movie. It's about an hour and 27 minutes or so it's not that long of a movie. So if you have an hour and 27 minutes, you want to check this film out, and you are interested in folk horror and the whole shapeshifter aspect of it, then I'd say check it out, see if you like it for yourself. Otherwise, 2.5, one and done for me. Won't watch it again. And if someone asked me would I recommend this film, I would say no, but watch it for yourself, form your own opinion. All right, that's going to do it for the review today. I just want to say a quick thank you to all the new and existing subscribers. Thank you all for the support. It is greatly appreciated. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know if you've seen Daddy's Head. If you have, do you agree 2.5? Do you think it's higher or lower? And if you haven't seen it, go check it out, come back, let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Peace.